Super Bowl Sunday, I promise I'll keep this short and let all of you get to the game.
All right.
This month we're looking at why. This is a question that we've all asked at one time or another. And this is a series about making sense of God's will. Kim's doing an adult Bible study for young adults at the West Campus on Sunday mornings at 9:45, if anyone wants to go to that. This is both the study and the sermon series are based off of a book by Adam Hamilton. It's called Why? Making Sense of God's Will. We didn't get creative with the title. And what we want to look at this month is what's called theodicy. Now, not the Odyssey, not written by Homer, but theodicy, which comes from the Greek, and it means God and justice. And sometimes we have a hard time reconciling where God and justice might meet together. Because good-meaning people sometimes say the darndest things. And then other people work real hard to justify what they said. Picture this, a man and a woman are on a plane, they don't know each other, and they're on a plane and they're looking at the television as they're taking off, and it shows the earthquake in Haiti. And her question to him is, with all this horrible stuff going on, where is God? And I'll get to the answer of how he answered that later. But some people will say, well, it was God's plan that this happened. Or this was somehow God's judgment against some people because of some other thing that they did. While that's easy and it fits on a bumper sticker, that's not how God works. There was a man named Leslie Weatherhead who wrote a book called The Will of God. And in it he talks about a friend of his he was visiting in India who just lost one child to cholera. And as he consoles the man and he sits there with the man says, well, I guess it's just God's will. Leslie Weatherhead said he got angry, he got upset, and he says, okay, well, if it's God's will, then what happens if tonight somebody sneaks over the balcony with a cholera-laced cloth and puts that germ-laden cloth over your daughter's mouth while she sleeps, and she contracts the virus and dies like your son did? And he got mad, he got indignant, he stood up, he said, that person's a monster. And Leslie turned around and said to him, but that's what you just said God did. Suffering based on natural disasters. And some of these things like hurricanes and earthquakes and things like that, they were put into motion so that our earth could sustain life. People chose to put their houses near some of these areas or to rebuild in some of these areas that are constantly hit with these things. But if the world didn't have the earthquakes, then the interior of the earth couldn't cool. If we didn't have the hurricanes, then we wouldn't have the jet streams that constantly bring us new air. Now, I don't know all the science behind it. I'm going to be real clear about that up front. But those things are required so that our earth can sustain life. Then we have suffering based on human decisions. Sometimes we say, oh, well, I'm going to do whatever this is. And sometimes it has the unintended effect of hurting someone or even hurting ourselves. And sometimes people choose to make decisions that will hurt other people. And then there's suffering caused by sickness. When we entered into a covenant with God to be co-creators in the world, we said, I'm entering into this, and God basically gave us we can make children, we can make stuff, we can make planes that fly in the sky, but we can't create perfectly like God can. So sometimes in our creation, we make things that don't work right. Sometimes machinery fails us. Sometimes when we make a child, something didn't quite copy right in the sequence of things. But there are three basic rules as far as why there's suffering and what we do about it. The first one is that God places humanity in charge of the earth. In Genesis it said, God created humankind in His image. In the image of God He created them, male and female. He created them. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Be good stewards over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And we've done that. We've gone to the edges of the earth. We've gone into outer space. We've gone into the ocean. We've pretty much subdued it. But are we really being good stewards of it? To be human is to be free. That's the second thing. We look at Jonah. Jonah chose to run the other way instead of going to what he was called to do first. We look throughout the Bible and we see all these people that said, "Pick someone else, just not me." And when they went, sometimes they went begrudgingly. And we look at it in our own lives. Sometimes we know what the right thing to do is, and sometimes we know what the easy thing to do is, and sometimes we choose easy over right. Which brings us to the third thing. We're predisposed to stray from God. I mean, you look at Adam and Eve. They chose knowledge over life. They chose to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil instead of living into God's call for them. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument of original sin. That's a whole other thing, because we, as Methodists, we believe that as a child, when you're born, the original sin of Adam is washed away because of Jesus and what happened on the cross. So anything that we do is on our own. And we have to own that. Like the other week I said, sometimes we have to self-examine instead of self-justify. But when we look at the different ways of looking at suffering, sometimes we think of God's providence or God's will. And sometimes people even have that all the way down to everything that we do is predestined, preordained. But that's not how God works. God gave us freedom of choice. Sometimes we worry too much about the providence of God and not enough about the provenance of God. And provenance is, in the art world, it's a piece of paper that says everyone who's ever owned a piece of art. Well, in our lives and in our world, there's only one real providence, and that we all belong to God. Can you play that second clip?
Is God good? If He is, why is there suffering and evil? Let's assume for the moment that God is all-powerful. This means that God can do anything that is logically possible. So He can create galaxies and subatomic particles and rainforests and you. But God cannot do what is logically impossible. He cannot make a square circle or a one-ended stick. So can God make a rock so big that He can't lift it? No. So what if, when God created human beings, He wanted them to be free? Freedom's a good thing. But if humans are to be free, they cannot be forced to obey God. Because freedom without choice is like a square circle. It's a logical contradiction. No choice, no freedom. God didn't want robots. He wanted real people. The first humans endowed with the awesome power of free choice abused their freedom. The tragic consequences of their bad choice and our bad choices ripple across the world. God is responsible for the fact of freedom, but humans are responsible for their acts of freedom. But let's remember, we don't suffer alone. God will put an end to suffering and evil. And God became a man to suffer with us. God is good, and He wants real people like you to know Him. But the free choice is yours.
I meant to actually play that earlier, but it works. When God created the world, God set in place certain things, certain laws, and they just don't get suspended whenever we want. And sometimes we treat God more like an ATM and ask for things that are logically not possible instead of living into the call for ourselves. The man on the plane, when the woman asked, how can you believe in a God when you see tragedy like this, he responded with this answer. He said, God's not in the disaster. God's not in the horrible thing that happened. But I can assure you that there are already people bringing food, bringing shelter, bringing clothing to people in need. And that's where God's responding. God's putting the call on the hearts of the many so that some will answer that calling. We talked about callings. We talked about living into those callings over the last few weeks. Where is God in the face of human suffering? He's in the people that respond to suffering. Play this last clip, please.
When I graduated college in 2001, I thought I either wanted to go into business or maybe even politics. And I was a licensed minister and I preached all around the country, but I wasn't 100% sure that that's what I wanted to do for myself. I was in a car accident. I went through the front window face first. 9 times out of 10, when somebody is projected through the window, they die. I found myself after the car accident wanting to make sure that I squeezed every moment out of every day, that I was doing what God wanted me to do. And so the passion for starting Courageous Church became unavoidable. I couldn't hide it. Technology is central to most of what we do here in the church, and we have almost exclusively used technology to connect people to our church. We started a huge campaign. The 3 months before we launched in 2008, we started a big toy giveaway campaign at 500toys.org. We got the church close to a school here in inner city Atlanta. This particular school was full of kids who got almost nothing for Christmas. We had a simple YouTube video that I filmed there from the school saying, hey, I'm here at this school and the kids here really need your help. And we created a PayPal link for people to give. And we used just Twitter and Facebook to tell everyone about the cause. But we raised the $25,000 that we needed. And we bought every student in that school a really nice uniform, a shirt and pants. Bought every student a toy that they asked for. And it was a beautiful thing. And it was in that moment, our church had not even had its first service, that we realized that we could really use technology to cast a vision in our city when we got really involved with Haiti. The needs are so many and so numerous and so overwhelming that we didn't know where to start. We found that the greatest need in Haiti that we could help out with was shelter. The first thing that we were going to do with that is to provide tents. Haitians are asking for tents. People that run camps are asking for tents. Right now, with homeathaiti.org, we try to treat this project like this was our family in Haiti. Like this was my mother or my daughter. Even if you go to our website, with our videos, with the way we shape it, with the pictures and the images we try to show people that that is somebody's mother. That's somebody's wife. That's someone's child. And when you treat them in that way, I mean, you'll knock down doors. You'll make a fool of yourself. I have become, in a way, a beggar online. Our small church, a few hundred people on Sunday, tiny budget. There's probably no organization in the world that has focused in on tents like we have. And so we provided over 5,000 tents now to this day to Haiti. No other organization outside of the Red Cross has sent more tents than us. It's not the website. It's not just the social media. It is conveying real passion and urgency. And that can come out in a YouTube video. It doesn't have to be filmed with an expensive camera. It can be a flip cam. It can be a webcam. When people hear the passion in your voice, they'll know you're serious and they'll respond.
So sometimes when we ask why, need to be asking is how. How can I respond to this? As you see, Sean, he responded in the way he knew how with technology and raising money, but how do we respond when we see suffering around us? And that's the call that each one of us has placed on our heart. When Jesus lived among us, he responded to suffering. He responded by embracing the last, the lost, and the least, and asked us to do the same. And by his example, we live into that.